intended to make a different video this week, but then the NBA put out a list of its all-time 75 best players for its 75th anniversary, and Klay Thompson decided to say this. I was already planning on making a video about Klay's defense, but this gave me the unique opportunity to talk about Klay overall. So here we go. Basketball metrics can be broken down into two basic categories, offensive and defensive. Within each category, there are two types of metrics, individual and on and off. For example, steals are defensive, while offensive rebounds are offensive. But both metrics are individual. What if you don't get steals, but you help your teammates get them? What if you box out well, and you allow your teammates to get more offensive rebounds? These impacts are captured using on-off metrics that, while noisier than individual metrics, do a better job of capturing an individual's true impact. So in total, there are 4 things to measure a player by. Their individual defensive metrics, their on-off defensive metrics, their individual offensive metrics, and their on-off offensive metrics. We're going to look at all 4 and see whether Klay Thompson is as good as he thinks he is, or naive about his basketball skill. Let's start with individual defensive metrics because they're the easiest to discuss. We've only got 3 stats here: steal percentage, block percentage, and defensive rebounding percentage. Starting with steal percentage, Klay has been below league average in 7 of his 8 seasons. Moving to block percentage, Klay has again been below average in 7 of his 8 seasons. And to defensive rebounding percentage, Klay has been below league average all 8 seasons. These 3 facts alone don't make someone a bad defender. There are so many things someone can do on defense that are extremely hard to measure, like the value of properly rotating, or making the right decision to go over or under a screen, or boxing out so your teammates get more rebounds. Thankfully, we can look at top-down, on-off metrics that capture all of the subtle impacts a player can make. While they might be noisy over any few games, over the course of 8 full seasons, they're mostly signal. In games in which Klay Thompson has played, there have been more than 20,000 minutes with him on the court and more than 9,000 minutes with him off the court. When he's on the court, the Warriors have allowed 105.34 points per 100 possessions. When he's off the court, the Warriors have allowed 105.22 points per 100 possessions. When you combine these two stats, you can see that the Warriors are 0.12 points per 100 possessions better defensively with Klay off the court. So Klay's individual defensive metrics are pretty weak, and he's just below average according to his on-off defensive rating. But what if we could combine the two? Well, that's what ESPN's RPM tries to do. In Klay Thompson's 8 seasons, his average defensive RPM is negative 0.03 points per 100 possessions. And in all 8 seasons, it was between negative 0.92 and positive 0.8. Klay's individual defensive metrics suggest he's a poor defender. His on-off defensive metrics suggest he's a below-average defender. And the combination of his individual and on-off metrics suggest he's a below-average defender. So I feel pretty comfortable saying that according to the data, Klay Thompson is a below-average defender. Of course, when people think about Klay Thompson, they're not often thinking about defense. Klay is a high-volume shooter with world-class three-point accuracy. In each of the last 5 seasons, he scored 20-plus points per game and shot above 40% from 3. So let's move on to individual offensive metrics to see if there's anything interesting hidden beneath the surface-level stats most people care about. I'll get into shooting efficiency in a moment, but I'll start with the less impactful but often overlooked offensive metrics of offensive rebounding percentage and turnover percentage. Klay is terrific at not committing turnovers, beating league average every year and continuing to improve. Combined with his career 24.7% usage, that means he's saving his team about 1 full possession per 100 possessions. On the flip side, he's a terrible offensive rebounder and has been below league average every season. This offsets roughly half of his impact from low turnovers, meaning he gains his team roughly half a possession or 0.5 points per 100 possessions. I know offensive rebounding percentage and turnover percentage aren't sexy, but with Klay's minutes, 0.5 points per 100 possessions is worth roughly an extra win per season. I gotta give Klay credit where it's due. And with those out of the way, we can finally talk about Klay's scoring efficiency. While Klay's effective field goal percentage is far above league average, his true shooting percentage, which takes into account free throw rate and free throw percentage, isn't as impressive because Klay's free throw rate is only about half of the league average. Keep in mind that 2 free throw attempts from Giannis Antetokounmpo is worth more than a Klay Thompson 3-point attempt, so getting to the line often is extremely valuable. In 7 of Klay's 8 seasons, he's been above average in true shooting percentage, but he's only beat league average by more than 2% in 4 of those seasons. To make matters worse, the league is finally catching up. In Klay's first season, the league 3-point attempt rate was 22.6%. It's increased every season to 39.2% in the 2021 season. As a result, league-wide true shooting percentage has increased 0.5% per season since Klay entered the league, moving from 52.7% in 2012 to 57.2% in 2021. If the increased efficiency continues, it should be at 57.7% in the 2022 season. Klay's career true shooting percentage is 57.5%. I think Klay was obviously ahead of the league in gaining value from shooting more threes, but his head start is over. In each of his first 3 seasons, Klay's 3-point attempt rate was more than 60% higher than the league average. Comparing his most recent season to the league in 2021, his 3-point attempt rate was less than 10% higher. Klay spent much of his career as a solid efficiency player with a high usage rate, which made him valuable offensively. He's no longer more efficient than the league. But I left out a very crucial detail in all of this. Klay's true shooting percentage is a facade. His above-average efficiency isn't due to exceptional ability. A lot of it's due to luck. Klay's efficiency is so dependent on those around him because he can't create his own 3-point shots, which is why 93.4% of his career threes are assisted. And he just happens to have been lucky enough to spend his entire career playing alongside the most efficient, space-creating offensive player in league history, Steph Curry. You may think Klay would be good without Steph, but the data would suggest that's not the case. When Klay Thompson shares the court with Steph Curry, he shoots 50.01% from 2. Without Steph, it's only 47.55%. When Klay shares the court with Steph, he shoots 43.06% from 3. Without Steph, it's only 39.43%. When Klay shares the court with Steph, his true shooting percentage is 58.9%. Without Steph, it's only 54.4%. Klay Thompson, without Steph Curry, has below average true shooting percentage, making him an inefficient scorer. Klay Thompson's individual metrics show that he gains his team 0.5 possessions per 100 possessions, and that he's an above average efficiency scorer. But realizing that the league has already caught up to him in efficiency, and that even his efficiency to date is entirely dependent upon playing alongside the most space-creating player in league history, really calls into question even the limited impact that Klay's individual offensive metrics suggest he has. If I was to put a number on Klay's offensive impact based on the individual metrics we have, I put it at roughly 1 point per 100 possessions. Significantly above average, but definitely below an all-star level impact. Let's see what the on-off offensive numbers show. In games in which Klay played, his team scored 114.01 points per 100 possessions with him on the court, and 107.61 points per 100 possessions with him off the court. Case closed, my entire offensive analysis was wrong. What was that? Hold on, my mom is telling me we should once again look at the numbers with and without Steph. When both Klay and Steph are on the court, they score 117.37 points per 100 possessions. When Steph is on the court without Klay, they score 115.36 points per 100 possessions. But when Klay is on the floor without Steph, they score 106.72 points per 100 possessions. For some perspective, the league offensive efficiency in Klay's first season was 104.6 points per 100 possessions. In his last healthy season, it was 110.4. In 2021, it was 112.3. The on-off metrics pretty clearly show that with both Steph and Klay, the Warriors have been elite offensively. With just Steph, they've still been elite offensively. With just Klay, they've been mediocre. My conclusion? Defensively, Klay Thompson is below average or mediocre at best. Offensively, he has been slightly above average. However, his value is in the rearview mirror due to the league's progression in offensive efficiency. And his value was extremely dependent on a once-in-a-generation talent playing alongside him. Maybe now we can all stop being naive about Klay Thompson's basketball skill.